Okay, and welcome back, students who are taking Math for Business and Finance and Math Applications. And this is the Chapter 20 Summary Practice Test. And in the last video, we stopped at number 2. So we're going to just move on to number 3. Go back and watch that video. The only thing I'm going to say here is, in addition to the first part of the video with me explaining a bunch of things, is if you don't understand something, definitely telephone and speak with an instructor. But it's important that you read the chapter in order to get these. All right, so summary practice test number 3. Okay, this one says the property of Pote's garage is worth $900,000. Pote has a $375,000 fire insurance policy that contains an 80% insurance clause. What will the insurance company pay on a fire that causes $450,000 in damage? That's a dollar sign, not a percent. If Pote meets the coinsurance, how much will the insurance company pay? All right, so the property is worth $900,000, and there's an 80% insurance clause, so 80% of that is $720,000. Now, that's what should have, but Pote only has $375,000. Okay, so we have to create a ratio here, what Pote actually has versus what they should have. Okay, and then we multiply that times whatever the fire damage was. So in this case here, there was $450,000 in damage. Okay. So now you can do this one of two ways. You can either try to reduce, you can try to reduce your fraction here, all right, and then multiply your numerators, because remember this 450,000 is actually over 1, or you can just multiply straight across the 375 times 450, and since we're dealing in thousands, notice it's represented by the K's. Okay, actually all you need to do is just multiply 375 times 450, and since 700 and whatever you get, so let's see what that comes out to. 375 times 450 ends up being 168,750, and that's over 720, so you divide it by 720 and you end up with that's equal to, you end up with, remember this is in thousands, okay, so you end up with 234,375. Okay, all right, so the question is asking, what will the insurance company pay on a fire that causes $450,000 in damage? So they'll end up paying this $234,375. It says if Pote meets the coinsurance, how much will the insurance company pay? Well, if the coinsurance is met, the company will end up paying $450,000. Okay. If the coinsurance is met, meaning if they if Pote, instead of having $375,000 in insurance, had $720,000, then the insurance company would meet the full amount of $450,000, because with the coinsurance being met, the insurance company would pay the full amount of the $720. But that's not the case for this particular problem. For this particular problem, Pote is only taking out 375, and that's why the insurance company will only pay 234,375 out of the full amount of the damage of 450,000. Okay. Right, so I hope you understood that. I'm not going to repeat that. I'm just going to move on, but just quickly, what you're talking about here, when taking a fire insurance policy, you can, if you have 80% coinsurance or whatever that percentage is, and I'm talking real world now, okay, out in the real world, you can, the policy will say, here's what the coinsurance is. And I mean, if this here is 80-20, right? It could be 70-30, right? Whatever, right? Depending upon the policy. And in this case here, it's 80% coinsurance, which means you have the option. The fire insurance company will give up to 80% of the value of that property. Now, you're able to take a policy all the way up to that amount. Yes, you're going to be responsible for 20%, okay, if it's totaled out of the full 900,000, okay? But if it isn't, all right, you have this option of how much you want to pay. I mean, in this case, it's 375. It could have been 400,000. It could have been 250,000. Whatever. Okay, but because you're taking less than the full 720, you're getting a prorated amount of return of the insurance based upon how much damage is done. So if this is at 450,000, okay, because it's less than 720, if you had the full 720, the insurance would reimburse you the 450. But because you're not taking the full amount of the insurance, okay, it gets prorated, and that's why you're only getting back 234,000, even though 450,000 was caused in damage, and you have to make up the difference. Okay. All right. Number 4 here. Let's see here. Lee Collins insured her pizza shop with a $90,000 fire insurance policy at $1.10 annual rate per $100. Okay, so that's 90,000 divided by 100. Okay, so that's 900. And at the end of 7 months, Lee's Pizza Shop went out of business, so she canceled the policy. Right. So what is the cost of Lee's premium and her refund? Okay, so let's see here. We have to go down to the short rate table. So let me bounce up to the short rate table. All right, there it is. Okay, and we're going to, the problem said 7 months. So we're looking at 7 months here, and this is the percent, 67%. Okay, so we're going to remember the 67%, and we're going to take 67% of, I'm sorry, that's, wait a minute, let me back up here. Okay, so I'm just going to write the 67% up here. Okay, so I have 900, right? Now I'm going to have to figure out the annual premium here. So I have 900 times the 110, right? And that's going to give me 990, right? So again, we're trying to figure out the annual premium here. So we have 90,000 of insurance at 110 per $100. So we divide the 90,000 by the 100, okay, and we get 900, and then we multiply it by the rate of 110, and that gives us $990. So that's the annual premium, $990. But now Lee canceled the policy, so we have to go back to the short rate table, and we look at the 7 months, okay? And for the 7 months on the short rate table, now remember, there's a difference between the policyholder canceling the policy and the insurance company canceling the policy, right? This problem is asking and saying Lee went out of business, so she canceled the policy. So she's the policyholder, she's canceling, and that's what we're figuring out by going to the short rate table. And on the short rate table, it says 67%. Okay, so 67% of the 990 is $663.30. Okay, so now to figure out what a refund is, we take the 990 and we subtract out the 663.30, and that gives us 326.70 is what her refund is. Okay. So with the policyholder, we're going to the short rate table, and we're looking up the time period that was used, and we're finding out what that percentage is, and we're applying it against the premium, subtract one from the other in order to get the refund. Now, if the policy was canceled by the insurance company, all right, I'll just work through the figures here. So it would be the annual premium is $990, and since 7 months was used, okay, that's 7 over 12, right? And if we take the 990 times the 7, gives us 6930, and we divide that by 12. That means 577.50 was used. So we would take the 990 and subtract the 577.50, and that means the refund would be 412.50. Okay, so in this case here, this is the insurance if the insurance company canceled the policy, let's say, and why would they do that? Well, let's say Lee had a fire hazard that wasn't corrected, so the insurance company has to cancel the policy. So they're going to refund the actual amount of the policy on a prorated basis that wasn't used. Okay, but when we're looking at the policyholder canceling the policy, there's a difference between those two amounts, even though it's for the same period of time. Well, that's because the insurance company is getting a premium, by using the short rate table, and the policyholder canceling, so they're getting a premium, which is that difference between the two, because it was the policyholder that canceled. In other words, they're saying you're getting fire insurance, you're going to hold it for the entire period of time. If you cancel at any time, you're going to have to pay that VIG, that premium, for canceling. Okay, all right. So that's it for those two problems, and I will see you in the next video for problems 5 and 6. And again, if you don't understand something here, reread the chapter, try to work through it, and then if you still don't understand how the numbers fit together, feel free to contact an instructor. Okay.